So welcome back to another episode of the Championship Roundup. We've got a lot of action to go over in today's video. We've also got a full fixture list coming up in midweek as well, which we will be predicting in the second half of today's video. So as always, get all your thoughts in the comments down below as to what you made of your team's performance. We've got a lot of talking points to go over. And before we do hop into anything, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. As always, I'll leave a link in the top line of the description down below. If you want to read up on any of the games that we go over today in a little bit more detail, then you can go over to the OneFootball app. As well as that, you can also track the games which are going on in midweek, and we got some interesting ones going on in midweek which could have quite an influence on how the championship table is shaping up. I'm interested to see your score predictions for those games because we've got a couple of tricky ones going on in there, but like I said, OneFootball, highly recommend. The link is in the description down below. And before we do hop into any of the games, I will include your guys' comments on screen now, so if any of you did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct, then fair play. I just got the one of them correct this weekend, that being the Luton against Wigan game, which did finish 2-1, so not the best, not the worst week from me, but without any further ado, let's get into talking about some of these games. So starting out with Friday night's game, and what a game it was at the Den, ending 2-2 between Millwall and Forest. It was certainly Millwall who started as the better of the two sides. Forest for the first half just didn't get going, and I was a little bit surprised looking at their lineup, you know, looking at some of the options they had on the bench, the likes of Lewis Grabban, João Carvalho, Joe Lolly-Adoma. It was a bit of a weird lineup for Forest, and they weren't really clicking going forward, and Millwall certainly had the better of that half. They took the lead after 15 minutes, obviously being the set-piece specialists that they are. Got that goal from the corner, Williams putting that in, and they had other chances to go more than 1-0 up in that first half. But the game really changed in the 62nd minute when Forest made that change and introduced Lewis Grabban into the game. They brought Rafa Mirov, who I don't really see what he offers for that Forest side, but Lewis Grabban with his first touch gets Forest back into the game. After the changes, Forest were looking a lot better, and going forward their movement was a lot better. Although Millwall still had their fair share of chances, Jake Cooper had a fantastic chance to make it 2-1, a free header inside the 6-yard box, but Samba made a good save. And eventually it looked like Forest went on to win it in the 88th minute. Some nice work from Amiobi, who before that was a little bit lucky not to give away a penalty with a bit of a clumsy challenge in the box, but he set up Grabban to make it 2-1, and it looked like Forest were destined for all 3 points. But as it is the Championship, there's always going to be late drama involved. Williams lined up quite a speculative long-range effort, obviously scored one the other week, so why not go for it? Samba sort of fumbled the ball into the path of O'Brien, and then he slotted away to make it 2-2, and in the end the points were shared. Samba obviously could have done better with that, but you can't really be too critical of him because he has been Forest's best player this season so far. Probably he's been excellent, but a very dramatic game nonetheless. Lewis Grabban definitely up there for the best Championship strikers. And then we had Leeds beating Huddersfield by 2-0, and Leeds now winning their last 6 matches in the Championship. They've got an 8-point gap to third place Fulham, and things looking good for Leeds at the moment, it has to be said. For the first half, there wasn't all too much in between the two sides. You could tell the quality difference, and that was really shown by the chances that Leeds took for this one. But Huddersfield also had their fair share of chances, and one thing that does need to be highlighted yet again, Leeds 20 games into this season have only conceded 10 goals. Absolutely staggering record. Another clean sheet for them in this game as well, and Kiko Casilla was forced into quite a few saves for this one. You know, he made an excellent save from Mounier, the header that he made tipped that one over the bar. Colin Grant had the chance, which was well cleared by Luke Ayling as well. In the second half, Kachunga had a chance which was excellently saved by Casilla as well. So an underrated thing with Leeds so far this season has been their defence, and considering they were without Calvin Phillips for this game as well, a big 3 points for them, but an excellent goal to take the lead in the second half. A header which was sort of half cleared by Huddersfield, and then Alioski with a thumping volley into the bottom corner. Brilliant finish to make it 1-0. From that point onwards, the game got a little bit stretched, and Leeds could find themselves getting a little bit more space in behind. That's how they then got their second goal. Once again, Jack Harrison with another assist. Brilliant ball to the far post, and then Pablo Hernandez back on the score sheet, heading Leeds to make it 2-0. Leeds are on an absolute roll at the moment, and considering Fulham lost this weekend, they'd have to do a lot to blow it from here. I think the consistency that Leeds have got for them, at this point, it's hard to look past Leeds and West Brom for the top two. It really is, because looking at all the teams below them, I'm just not sure if anyone else has got that same amount of consistency. Then we have Blackburn beating Derby by 1-0, and the Championship is an absolutely bonkers league. A few weeks ago we were speaking about on the Championship Roundup, is Tony Mowbray the right man for Blackburn? You know, they'd spent quite a bit of money in the summer, and they were sort of lingering near the bottom of the Championship. After the recent run they've gone on, 4 wins on the bounce, they're now 2 points off the playoff, so it just goes to show that if any side can put together a bit of momentum, you really can prop yourself up the league. But Blackburn beating Derby 1-0, I think the scoreline's a little bit generous to Derby, to be honest. I thought that Blackburn were the better team throughout this one. They created the better chances in the first half, had a couple, and were unlucky not to be in front going into half-time. Eventually, Adam Armstrong did take the lead with an absolutely fantastic strike from outside the box. Top corner, rifled it in past Ben Hamer, and from that point onwards, Derby were so poor in this game. Going forward, they were lacking any real creativity or ideas. They had one shot on target in this game, and that came in stoppage time. So I know that Derby have struggled away from home all season, but collectively, on the recent run that they've gone on, it's just been a lot of mediocre performances lately for Derby, and looking at their squad, they're capable of so much better. Jack Marriott was on the bench again. I've been surprised that he's not got more game time so far this season, but switching back to Blackburn, I thought they were excellent and were lucky not to get more than the 1 goal they got, and to be only 2 points off the playoffs, who knows what's going to happen this season. Then we had Cardiff beating Barnsley by 3-2, a game which sums up Barnsley's season to a T so far. Really good going forward, but when it came down to crunch time, just couldn't hold on to it at the back. Barnsley did take the lead, a nicely worked goal from kind of Chaplin, breaking through, and a nice finish from him. That lead lasted all but 3 minutes as Cardiff got back into the game, swinging the ball into the box. Aidan Flint got in ahead of Diaby, and whether it went down as an own goal in the end, I'm not so sure. But that made it 1-1. But after then, Barnsley responded well, and they ended that first half well. They were creating a lot of chances. They then carried that momentum into the second half and took the lead early on in that second half. And they continued to create chances, but just couldn't get that third goal to kill off the game. Cardiff so far, I think, have been decent under Neil Harris, but I think that many Cardiff fans would admit that this probably wasn't their best performance. They weren't really creating much going forward, and for quite a few spells, Barnsley were on top, but just couldn't take full advantage of that. One player who we did speak about in the prediction video, though, was Lee Tomlin, and if Cardiff were going to win this game, he was going to be central to that. A really underrated player for them so far this season, but brilliant footwork from him to slip in Ward for the equaliser. He makes it 2-2, and from that point onwards, Cardiff then go looking for the winner, and it comes in the 94th minute. This time, Lee Tomlin getting on the score sheet with a brilliantly taken goal, just waits for the ball to fall to him inside the box, hits it on the volley, and it's devastating for Barnsley, who are still without an away win this season. But Cardiff turned it around, fair play to them, and a massive 3 points for Bristol City as they beat Fulham by 2-1 away at Craven Cottage. Now, it's fair to say that the referee was not the most popular man in this stadium by the end of this game, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Bristol City did take the lead. Josh Brownhill opening the scoring after 26 minutes. Brilliant ball in from Elias, and another assist for him this season. Brownhill also had a hand to play in the second goal that Bristol City went on to score in the second half as well. Brilliant back heel from him into Nagy. Nagy pulls it across goal, and then Jeju has a tap in to make it 2-0. Fulham just weren't at the races for this one, and for whatever reason couldn't quite click into gear moving forward. I thought they looked better when they made some of the substitutions in the second half. Obviously, Camara grabbed a goal back for them. Cabano also caused a few problems for Bristol City in the later stages, and it was to do with Cabano as to why the referee was not popular. He went down in the box in the final stages of this one. Callum O'Donnell looked to have tripped him over, but the referee was having none of it. He was in a good position to see it as well, but he waved away the penalty. Fulham were fuming that it wasn't given, and it resulted in a bunch of players being booked, and Bristol City held out for a massive 3 points for them. Obviously, the decision late on didn't go for Fulham, and that was always going to be a frustrating one, but you can't ignore the rest of the performance where they dropped well below their levels that they've been playing at recently, and the result takes Bristol City up to 4th in the table, level on points with Fulham now. And then we had Hull turning it around, beating Stoke by 2-1. Now, Stoke City at the moment are just a completely abject side, which I'm really not seeing anything from them at the moment. They've lost their last 3 matches, and in terms of heart and wanting to get back into games, moving things forward, I'm seeing much more from Barnsley at the moment opposed to Stoke. Barnsley may not always have the quality, but at least there's a desire to get back into games at the moment. With Stoke, there's a complete lack of anything like that. They did take the lead though, Sam Vokes with a nicely taken goal, to be fair to him. It was whipped in, and then a header was sort of going back in himself, heading it back across goal, but from that point onwards, Hull responded well to going behind. Jack Butland kept Stoke in it for the first half really with a string of saves, but once again it was that man Jared Bowen turning things on for the second half. The first goal brilliantly taken outside of the box, lined up the bottom corner, a superbly taken goal. Bowen then made it 2-1. Lehigh hooks across in. Butland made a save, but that fell to the path of Jared Bowen, who then made it 2-1 with a tap-in. Honestly, Jared Bowen at the moment, in 20 games so far this season, he's had 18 goal contributions with 14 goals and 4 assists. Has he been the best player in the Championship this season? He's at least in the top 3. More than good enough for the Premier League. Someone's going to take a punt on him eventually. I was there at the Cakeham a few weeks ago when he absolutely ripped apart North End, and he's such an enjoyable player to watch. He's banging form at the moment. I think in 2019 he's got more goals than Cristiano Ronaldo, so Jared Bowen, absolute gem of a player. Then we move on to a massive game at the bottom of the table where Luton bounced back fantastically from their last outing, beating Wigan by 2-1. Now, Wigan have to be one of the most frustrating clubs to support in the Championship at the moment. It's absolutely baffling, but I mean, they started this game fairly well, like they have been doing for a few games so far this season. Eventually, Kiefer Moore taking the lead for them. A really nicely worked goal. When you've got a striker like Kiefer Moore, you need to play to his strengths. Brilliant ball into him, and then a header really into the top corner. Brilliant from Kiefer Moore. And they had a few other chances as the game went on, but But with Wigan, I mean, I said it in my prediction video, I think that Wigan are going to take the lead for this game and then Luton will turn it around later on. That's exactly what happened. In Wigan's last 8 games, they've conceded 9 goals in the last 10 minutes of matches, which is a baffling stat. Luton's equaliser coming in the 87th minute. It was a bit of a scramble of a goal, but in the end got over the line McManaman with a nice finish. And then George Moncur in the 93rd minute to win it for Luton after Wigan had a player sent off, Che Dunkley, for a second yellow card. I don't think he will have too many complaints about that. Brought someone back as they were going through on goal. But the goal was a real hammer blow for Wigan. It was a smashing finish from Moncur, but the result is absolutely massive for Luton. Mentally, you know, bouncing back from a 7-0 defeat, that now puts them 4 points above the relegation zone and above Wigan. As for Wigan, I'm really lost for them at the moment. They find themselves comfortably in the bottom 3 now, and you feel like Paul Cook's got to be on borrowed time. And a massive result for Middlesbrough, which saw them beating Charlton by 1-0. The George Saville goal coming after about 50 seconds being enough to secure all 3 points for Borough, who I think it's fair to say were the much better side in this one throughout, really. It was Assombalonga who had the original shot, which was sort of blocked. Ashley Fletcher managed to keep the ball alive, and then George Saville arrived in the box to make it 1-0. From that point onwards, Charlton didn't really offer anything going forward. And I know they've had, obviously, this awful injury crisis lately, but 2 wins from 14 now. They didn't really have any noteworthy chances in this one. You know, Gallagher sort of had one in the second half, but even that went harmlessly over the bar. One positive to take from it was Lyle Taylor returning back. He came on for 45 minutes, but I think it's going to take him a little bit of time to get back up to match speed. For Middlesbrough, they probably should have put this game to bed sooner, really. They had quite a few decent opportunities, which they were just squirting over the bar. Tavernier had one put on a plate for him, but somehow he put his chance over the bar. Assombalonga, Fletcher and Saville as well all had more chances, but it just wasn't to be their day putting the ball in the back of the net. But with Charlton not offering much, the 1 goal was enough in the end. It sees them 4 points above the relegation zone. For Charlton, they've slipped all the way to 17th now. It really has been a drop off for them. And then we had QPR beating North End by 2-0. Preston have now lost their last 4 matches, and we've been tumbling down the Championship. Injuries have played their part, but we're capable of so much more than this at the moment. QPR taking the lead after 17 minutes. It was all about Eze today. Actually, a really intelligent goal, I'm not going to lie about this. I think it was Naki Wells who had dragged Paul Huntington out of position, and then it was Ben Pearson who was sort of man-marking Eze. As Huntington was out of position, Eze could see that there was space to run into. They just chipped the ball over him. He ran past Ben Pearson. Eze was then in on goal. He forced a save from Declan Rudd. The ball was parried straight back to him, and then he managed to finish it well to make it 1-0 to QPR. For that first half, Preston offered literally nothing going forward, obviously. It's another game where we've gone with Stockley up front. Coming into this weekend, considering QPR got the worst defensive record in the league, I could not believe that we weren't testing them at all. Our best hope was just to try and hit Jayden Stockley for 90 minutes, and obviously that wasn't working for us at all. Sean Maguire, another really frustrating player lately. I think I'd throw Brad Potts into that as well. For Tuesday, I'd like to see quite a few changes for this North End side. I'd like to see Josh Hart being brought into that number 10 role, and then I don't know, I'd give someone like Andre Green a chance at left mid, because Maguire at the moment, it's not happening for him. QPR made it 2-0 in the second half. Eze from the penalty spot, and I mean, we just weren't getting back into this game. QPR have not kept a clean sheet this season, so of course they keep their first one against us. Preston's best chance probably came late on. Billy Bowden had a good effort, but a great save by Joe Lumley, in fairness. It was a Preston side completely devoid of ideas going forward, but fair play to QPR, they really needed that result. Then we saw Birmingham beating Reading by 3-2. Now, I was back in the home side going into this one, but Birmingham more than proved me wrong. Up until yesterday, I completely forgot that Birmingham had signed Josh McEachran, but him in midfield really made a difference in this one. It was his first full start for Birmingham, and I thought added a lot of balance to that side, actually. Him, Sunjic and Bellingham seemed to work well off each other. Jude Bellingham, I thought, was excellent once again. He had a hand in most of the good stuff that Birmingham were doing going forward, but talking about a man of the match for Birmingham, you probably go for Michael Morrison, their former skipper. An own goal for the opening game. Reading did get it back before half-time, though. Yakin Mate making it 1-1, but Reading were well below par in this one. The second goal Birmingham scored, Bella from a free kick. Oh my god, we've seen some good free kicks scored so far this season, but that one is right up there. The arc of the ball to just bend into the top corner. Superb free kick to make it 2-1, and then Jimenez makes it 3-1 in the 88th minute. Once again, Michael Morrison had a bit of a mare for this one. It was a 1v1 situation. Jimenez got the better of him. Lucas Giles did get one back for Reading to make it 3-2, but by that point the game had already gone. A big 3 points for Birmingham on the road in that one, and a lot of positives to take from it. A lot of good individual performances. Then we saw Sheff Wednesday beating Brentford by 2-1. Typical of the Championship. I said this in my preview video, but after the result that Brentford were coming off, it doesn't surprise me because the Championship is the most unpredictable league in the world for them to lose this one. But they did take the lead, and for the first half they were by far the better side, actually. They were playing the better football, and Bimu scoring after 29 minutes. Not the sort of goal you'd associate him scoring, but he was on the end of a corner to make it 1-0. And in that first half, the Sheff Wednesday midfield was just a bit overrun, really. They weren't applying themselves into the game like we know they can, and if Brentford did get that second goal in that first half, they could have killed it off then and there. But Sheff Wednesday for the second half, much better. You could clearly see the reaction from half-time. Stephen Fletcher, a player who had been causing problems throughout this game, did get them back in it from the penalty spot, a rightly given penalty for a pretty clear handball. And then just a few minutes later, he made it 2-1. A brilliant ball in from Kadeem Harris, who really seemed to be on it for that second half. But Stephen Fletcher, once again, he's back in the goals at the moment. I think that's 5 goals in his last 4 games now. But it was a superb reaction from Sheff Wednesday, who now find themselves in the top 6 of the Championship, and it's so open at that part of the table at the moment. And then to finish the weekend off, we had West Brom 5, Swansea City 1. Now, some of the football that West Brom are playing at the moment is an absolute delight to behold. They absolutely tore Swansea apart in this game. The opening goal coming from Semi Ajayi, Carl Bartley heading that one back across goal, but every goal after that, absolutely stunning from West Brom. Pereira with 1 goal and 3 assists in this game. Pereira got the second for West Brom. He tipped off a fantastic passing move. Sam Sturridge did get 1 back for Swansea, but that was fairly short-lived as West Brom made it 3-1 before half-time. Robson Kanu slipped in fantastically by Pereira. And the second half, they were really turning on their skills and showboated a little bit. Dan Garner absolutely rinsed past Kyle Norton. Like, some of the stuff West Brom were playing throughout this game was absolutely outrageous. By far one of the best performances we've seen in the Championship so far this season, if not the best, with some of their football actually being played. Grimes made the mistake for the 4th goal, but what a ball once again from Pereira. It was so nonchalantly just chipped into the far post, and Phillips was there to make it 4. And at the end of a nice counter-attacking move, Pereira once again into Edwards. He makes it 5-1, and West Brom, I think quite rightly, went back to the top of the Championship, because playing football like that, the effect that Bilic has had on this team has been absolutely staggering. Pereira's too good for the Championship. We were having this debate before with Jared Bowen about who's the best player in the Championship, but Pereira, I mean, he's right up there. More than good enough for the Premier League. West Brom were unbelievable. Swansea slipped down to 11th now. But those were all the games that went on this weekend. In terms of my goal of the weekend, I think I'm going to give it to Bella from Birmingham for that fantastic free kick against Reading. And then for my result of the weekend, it's going to have to be West Brom. One of the best performances we've seen from a Championship side so far this season. Unbelievable attacking play. So get all your thoughts in the comments down below as to what you made of your team's performance. Now we will move on into my midweek score predictions. So going into my midweek score predictions, Bristol City going up against Millwall. Millwall won't make it easy for them, but Bristol City seemingly on a really good roll at the moment. I'm just edging towards them. I'll say 2-1, but Millwall won't be an easy game. Charlton going up against Huddersfield. Neither side playing particularly great at the moment. Huddersfield dropping perilously close to the bottom 3, but Charlton still with a relatively thin squad. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in that one. Leeds going up against Hull. I'm going to go with Leeds. I'll say 2-1 because they're on a fantastic winning streak at the moment, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Hull put a spanner in the works, especially with how Jared Bowen's playing at the moment. Forest going up against Middlesbrough. I don't see a lot of goals being scored in there. Forest have had a couple of games at the City Ground where they have come unstuck, but I think they will have enough to win this game. I'll just edge them for a 1-0 victory. Preston going up against Fulham. Fulham weren't great this weekend, but with the players they've got going forward and the amount of injuries that we've got to our back line, if Fulham are on form, they could tear us apart. Mitrovic has got a ridiculous goal-scoring record against Preston, so he's almost guaranteed to score in this one, and I'm not so confident. I'm going to say 2-1 Fulham. Stoke are going up against Luton. I'm going to say 2-2. That's a big game at the bottom. Barnsley going up against Reading. I think that Barnsley and their survival hopes really are pinned on their home form with their seemingly inability to pick up any points on the road. So for this one, I'm going to back them, you know. I'm going to say 2-1 Barnsley. Birmingham going up against QPR. I don't see a lot being in that one. Both sides have been showing lately that they can score goals, as they obviously getting back to his best at the weekend. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw in that game. Brentford going up against Cardiff. Cardiff still unbeaten under Neil Harris, but not the greatest performance at the weekend, but they still got the job done. Brentford seem to turn it on when they're at Griffin Park. I'm going to go 2-1 Brentford in that game. Derby going up against Sheff Wednesday. Derby left a lot to be desired with this performance this weekend, but with their still decent home record, I'll go for a 1-1 draw in that game. Swansea against Blackburn, two really contrasting sides at the moment. Swansea not on a good run. Blackburn at the moment playing some fantastic football. They've won their last 4 matches. Swansea, you feel like have to turn it around sooner rather than later. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in that game, but I wouldn't be surprised if Blackburn nick it. And then finally we got Wigan going up against West Brom, and I can only see one thing happening. I'm going to go 4-0 West Brom for that game. Sorry, Wigan fans, but West Brom are unreal at the moment. So that's what I'm thinking for the midweek fixtures. Leave all your thoughts in the comments down below and your predictions for what you think is going to happen. But apart from that, that will wrap it up for today's video, guys. So if you're going to enjoy, make sure you leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. Make sure you subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.